So this is the AS6C1008. This is a static RAM chip that is basically 128 kilobytes. So 128 times 8 bits of data, so 1 megabit of data. And I have this RAM chip. Basically it's 32 pins. I have it standing alone without any computer or microcontroller or anything like that. Let me put some of these address lines back in. It's hard to do with one hand, so I'm gonna have to just describe it. So I have this basically set up as a standalone RAM chip, and I have it has a total of 17 address lines, and these little yellow and black wires down here are the first 8 of the address lines, A0 through A7. Then I have the data lines going to these sets of LEDs, but at the same time I can program the data that I want just with using this dip switch. And so as of now, I have programmed into this for the first 16 address lines. I have the binary values of 0 to 16 programmed into them. The way this chip works is basically you have the power and ground. The VCC is right there. This is a chip enable. This is actually chip enable 2, which is active high. This is chip enable 1, which is active low. This black wire here is going to this switch right here, which is an output enable. Right now it's on, and it's active low. When I switch it off, it doesn't show anything. So if I switch it off, it doesn't have any output. But when I switch it on, it shows the value at the current address line. And the address lines right now, I have the binary value of 15 programmed into the address lines. And so what happens is all you have to do is change the address lines, and at whatever address you put in your binary value, which you plug into this dip switch, and you manually program it, kind of like programming an EEPROM. In order to program it at that value, you have to pulse low. So there's a right enable button here. This is connected. One side is connected to ground. The other side has a pull-up resistor to VCC, and that green wire back here is connected to the right enable pulse, which is pin 29. And when you press this down, it grounds it, and whatever value you have on that address or on that dip switch set, and whatever address you have it set to, that address will be programmed with that 8-bit value, that byte of data. It won't work if the output enable is low. So I manually programmed this. This is a RAM chip, so when the power goes off, the memory is volatile. It will go away. So it has to be reprogrammed from scratch each time. That's the nature of random access memory. And then this chip is very fast. Literally takes 55 nanoseconds to latch and store data when you program it. So programming it by hand, there's no maximum length of pulse. So, for hand programming this is very easy and very easy to work with, other than the fact that there's a gazillion lines here and my breadboard keeps moving every time I try to take these lines in and out. So let's program this RAM chip. turn the power on. Okay, so let's see. First, let's see what is at address 0. These are the first 8 address bits. Turn the output enable on. So there's this random stuff that's on there. So let's turn that off. This is the current data that's on there. So I'm gonna have it all set to 0. And I'm gonna hit the right enable button, which pulses the right enable up. And so, boom. Now, all right, let's go address 1. Let's see what's on there currently. All of that stuff. Let's put okay, that's a 1. And in address 0, that's a 0. Okay. Now address 2. We're gonna put this as a let's program that in. Address 3. Let's program that in. Address 4. Let's program that in. This is all in binary. Oops. Address. Let's program a 5 into address 5. Let's program 6 into address 6. Let's program 7 into address 7. Let's program a 15 into address 15. Let's program 14 into address 14. Let's program 13 into address 13. Let's program 12 into address 12. 11 into address 11. 10 into address 10. And 9 into address 9. So now let's turn all these off and let's see how we did. So let's start at 0. The positive rail here is really the negative rail. This is all reversed. Just the way I have it. Sorry. So in address 0, this is output enable turned on now. In address 0, we have a 0. Address 1, we have a 1. Address 2, we have a 2. Address 3, we have binary 3. Address 4, we have a binary 4. Address 5, we have a binary 5. Address 6, we have a binary 6. Address 7. Let's see what's in address 1. Okay, that's still good. Let's see what's in address 8. 7, 6, 5, 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Voila. So the first 4 bits of the address line, I put in 16 total values, and I have them corresponding to the actual values of the address lines. You can put anything in there, but let's say I wanted to put into the address line 15 here. Let's say, let me turn the output enable off because you have to do that. Let's say I wanted to put this. Let's say I wanted to put this data value. No, not this one. This one. Say I wanted that into address 15. All I have to do is do that. Let me turn all these off. Now when I output enable, it's set to address 15. That's what I have stored at that memory location. And that's how you program this RAM chip as a standalone chip just on a breadboard. And it's got 17 address lines. And the way the write enable pulse goes, just a low pulse on the write enable. It's tied high with a pull-up resistor, and the resistors up here are pulling this value low. It's hard to see here, and these are pulling it all high. And the positive rail here is really the negative rail, so this is what I've been going with. So disregard the plus and the minus here. It's actually backwards. That's how I had the chip set up from the beginning. But at address 0, it should be a 0, which I programmed there at the beginning. That's it. That's how you program it. Anyway, so that is how the static RAM, a static RAM chip can be used in freestanding mode without any computers or microcontrollers. Let me turn the output enable off, and just so we can see better. And this is the whole setup. The way I hooked up these LED lights are just indicator lights, but what I have is this dip switch. They're connected to VCC. Like I said, the VCC, the positive rail is actually really the negative. The negative rail here is really the positive rail. And I have these pull down resistors in the back going to ground. And so that way the value is always asserted as either 0 or 1. It's not floating at any point in time when I turn these switches on. And so when I activate one of these switches, the light goes on, like the corresponding light goes on. So I have 8 lights here, just so I could see what's going on without having to use an oscilloscope. But that is a static RAM chip. So basically, most of these is 32 pins. So most of the pins are address lines, which is 17 of them, and 8 data lines, 0 through 7. And then you can see the data lines are these white and coral looking wires. and the controls are the write enable, which has to be pulsed down because it's an active low, and the output enable, which is basically active low but can be turned off if you don't want to display it or if you don't want it to output data at any point in time. The output enable has to be off in order for the data inputs to become inputs and not outputs. So that has to be off when writing anything to the memory. The easiest way to do this is to attach it to some form of microcontroller, but you could do this in standalone mode, like as in on a breadboard, and especially for testing purposes. So now we're gonna put this together with the rotary encoder, the analog to digital converter, and the counters that I put together before to create something that'll be, hopefully, will be cool. In any case, standalone RAM, static RAM. Thanks for watching.